Okay, this is from now on will be the classic model, so you may want to jump ahead a little bit if you have the A model. So anyway, we'll go ahead and concentrate on the classic here just for a second. It's the one with the bigger headlight. Okay, go ahead and undo these two screws on the bottom. Go ahead and loosen those up and take the nuts off. And then we'll go ahead and take that headlight housing off. There again, there's these two screws back here. So go ahead and take those out. Screws out of there. And then we'll go ahead and just lift this housing off. There again, feed the wires through the hole in the back of the housing. And that should come right off there. So do that. Save those screws. Okay, the next step on the Classic is we're going to go ahead and loosen these two screws here. There was one here and one here. Well, let's go ahead and just take those out. What they do is they hold these big covers that kind of cover the fork tubes here. So go ahead and take those two screws out, and we'll be right back. Okay, our next step is we've got to get the weight off the front wheel just a little bit on this motorcycle to remove those top triple clamps. So the way I do it, I just go ahead and shove a floor jack under the foot peg there, just find something solid, and just you don't need to raise the motorcycle off the ground. Just get the weight off the front wheel, just so that so that it'll relieve the tension on that triple clamp, so you can loosen it up and pop it off. So go ahead and just raise it up just enough to get the tension off, and then we'll be right back. Okay, the next step on the Classic model is we're going to have to lift the front triple clamp off the bike just temporarily in order to get these covers off right here. These covers need to slide up so we can take the signal lights off. So anyway, it's pretty simple. Basically, what we're going to do first, I like to cover the tank with a towel whenever I'm working around this area, because, well, one little teeny slip of the wrench and there goes that nice paint job. So anyway, we'll cover that up. And then this is a 1 1/16 inch open box end wrench. It just happens to fit this bolt quite well. If you don't have a metric socket to fit that, either a 1 1/16 socket or box end or whatever will work. So go ahead and loosen that bolt. Let's take that out. And then also what we want to do is we want to loosen these two Allen screws on the sides of the triple clamps here. There's one here and one on the other side. Go ahead and loosen those up. Let's take this bolt out, and then we'll be right back. Okay, we're going to go ahead and raise the triple clamp off the front of the forks real quickly. So go ahead and we'll just kind of rock this back and forth and lift it up just enough to go ahead and just lift that up. Then what we'll do is we'll slide this fork cover up the top like that. And then we should be able just to slide the signal light out. I'll just pry that apart. Watch the wiring down here. Make sure it comes out from underneath that cover there. So go ahead and just take that signal light off. And there we have it. There's the signal light and the wires. Go ahead and do that to the other side, and then we'll be back in just a second. Okay, our next step before we lower the triple clamp back down is we want to make sure we get these covers kind of mounted onto this round cover mounted onto this cover here. So go ahead and very carefully put these screws back in. There's a little rubber insert that goes in and it has the threads in it, and if you push too hard it'll pop down in there, and it's really hard to get them back on. So very carefully do that to both sides, but if by chance one pops out or maybe the threads are bad or something, we've got in your kit, we'll go ahead and have these. They're two rubber sealing washers and two 5mm nuts. I'll show you what to do just in case those things pop through there, so we'll be right back. Oh, and one other thing, go ahead and unplug your signal lights. You can go ahead and unplug those now. There's a lot of ones. Just go ahead and unplug them and set them on a bench or something. We'll be right back to those too, so be right back. Okay, we're back here. Let's see now. If you do have to put the our sealing washers in this, in where those rubber inserts came out, go ahead and raise this cover here. This is the round fork cover. And then this is the cover. This is looking from the back side, by the way. So this is the cover that covers the triple clamps down in here. So go ahead and raise those up. So you can. What happens is you want to get this. Okay, this is the existing bolt I showed you before. Okay, you see how the sealing washer is on the bolt there? Go ahead and put the sealing washer on just like that. Now what we're going to do, have the washer ready also. If you've lost both of the rubber inserts, don't worry about the washer, but if you've lost one, then the other side needs to be raised up just a tad so it matches. So, and then go ahead and have your 5mm nut ready. So what you basically want to do is you want to go ahead and put the bolt and the sealing washer underneath, slide it up in that hole there. It's kind of tricky. Okay, and then what you want to do, you want to slide this washer in between the cover and this cover. So basically the gap will be the same. And then just go ahead and put the nut on there, and you may even take two people to do that. It's kind of a pain, but go ahead and do that, and then cinch both sides down, and then we can slide those covers back down and put the top triple clamp back on. So we'll be back. Okay, this will go, let's just show you another view of what we did here. Let's see, if you look here, there in between the round tab, that round cover that has a tab sticking out, there's a washer. The washer is between the tab and this cover. So when it sucks it up, it'll space the two about the same. So anyway, go ahead and do that, and then before you tighten the nut up, you may want to put a little Loctite on it, or maybe some fingernail polish, or a little bit of paint or something, just so that later on that doesn't vibrate loose and come out. So anyway, go ahead and kind of snug both sides up evenly, and then we'll be back. Okay, now that we have these two snugged up, I'm going to go ahead and just slide these covers back down. So I'm going to go ahead and slide both sides down. Go ahead and kind of push hard on them there. Now these will still rotate a little bit, so later on what you can do is you can go ahead and center these on the tubes down below. So they will rotate a little bit, so don't worry about that. You can center those later, or just center them now, whatever. So anyway, we'll be back. Okay, now that we've got these covers back down all the way, let's go ahead and put the top triple clamp back down. Again, make sure the jack has got the pressure pushing up on the bike so that it takes the tension off the front forks. Then go ahead and just rock this back down on there. Make sure your towel isn't pinching somewhere in there. And then make sure there's nothing binding or anything in the way of that. And then what we want to do is we want to go ahead and put the nut back in here, the bolt back in the center of the triple clamp. Now it's very important, go ahead and tighten that up first. Tighten this bolt up first. And then go ahead and tighten these two Allen screws on the ends of your triple clamps. So bolt first, then the Allen bolts. And snug those up nice and tight, and then we'll proceed. If you have the classic model, now's the time to go ahead and mount the headlight bucket. This is the main headlight bucket, and then go ahead and once you screw that down, and one thing, watch the rubber grommets on the underside. There's some rubber grommets on the underside there that keep the headlight, kind of rubber isolated from the bike for vibration. So make sure those don't fall out when you mount it on there. And also, once you get it mounted on the bike, go ahead and pull these wires through. Go ahead and pull those through the hole in the back, like so, and then we'll show you the next step. Okay, our next step is to go ahead and check the wires up front to see which is which. The color should match the back, so unless somebody screwed with this bike somewhere along the line. The way it works is if you use your test light, the blue wires, there should be two blue wires, those should be keyed power. In other words, they should be on when the ignition is on. So check those, the two blue wires are keyed power. And then the next one to check would be the green. The green wire should be the left signal light. And then the gray wire should be the right signal light. And then there's two left over. They're black and white striped. Let's see, excuse me, black and yellow. Black and yellow, black with yellow stripes. So those should be the ground, but double check those, make sure there's nothing there. And then we'll go ahead and wire the lights up.